In studio right now is Mr. Marino. Joe Marino is a councilman in the city of Utica and has recently announced that you're back in. You're going in. You're all in.
I'm all in for my last term.
And that is that's coming up in November.
Yeah, this November, the entire Common Council is up for re-election, and I believe the comptroller in the city of Utica.
Are you willing to discuss? You probably aren't, but I'll ask anyway. Are you considering, at the very least, considering a run for mayor?
Yeah, I'll tell you this, and like I said, publicly, this is my last term on the council, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah.
If the city will have me and there's opportunity to go forward, I certainly have ideas that, I can't do as a council member that I'd like to see go forward, whether it be with a mayor or, myself. Sure.
Yeah.
It's something I consider.
Your last term, barring an extension of term limits, right?
Yeah. Listen, I'm, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I'm a very strong proponent of term limits. I understand the converse argument that term limits are when people go to the ballot box. But I took this job knowing that I'd have 8 years to work on the council, and I, planned out my 8 years with, God willing, another 2 more to make my 8. And I have no intention, irrespective of what happens with that petition that they got floating around, for running for another term in council. It's, I did my 8 years. That was enough. I think that, you gain experience in your first 6 months. I don't need eight and a half to figure out what I'm doing there.
If people like Joe Marino, the councilman, Joe's the best councilman I've ever had. I don't want Andrew Dominio representing me.
Sure.
Should they have the ability to keep you there?
Yeah, look, again, I understand the flattery of those kind of compliments, but no, look, there are other opportunities for people like myself, or career politicians are one of the most taboo things that you could be. And, I never got into this job to do that. I mean, look, if I progress and I get to go forward, that would be wonderful. But I certainly don't plan on making my life, a voted in position. So, and that's the way I choose my representatives. So I'm glad that people have chosen me to this point, but that's the job I took. I took a 4-term, 2 years apiece job, and I thought we did pretty well. I know that there's been contention and there's been some disagreement, but the city overall has been wonderful. My accounting experience has led me to help with the budget, since the council controls the budget. So I did my 6 years. Hopefully I get to do my last 2, and that's it for me.
Do you, you're 4th Ward?
4th Ward.
Okay. So I've been hearing some rumblings that you might not yet have been endorsed by the Democrats in the 4th Ward. Is that true?
Yeah, well, the city party is...
What's going on there?
Well, look, it's easy to run for the Common Council, right? You don't need a lot of money. It's not like Congress where you need a $5 million race. So, when things are going good, people come and try to participate in that, and that's the democratic process. So, you hear all the time. I've never run a race where I've run unopposed. I've always had opponents, multiple opponents. So, if there's opponents this time, we'll do what we always do. We'll go knock on doors, tell people what we've done, and go forward. That's all we could do.
How do you, so against the extension of term limits?
Yeah, I would never be for extension of term limits, because it just don't, you never know where it ends. I understand that they,
Hospital downtown.
Yeah, look, I've always been in favor of a hospital downtown, always. I'm very, though, disappointed with the lack of information coming out of the hospital. And, I say that in the sense of frustration, just, get the information out there, because when I tell people why I'm for it, first and foremost, you give me 2 choices, New Hartford and Utica, I pick Utica every time.
Right.
I just do, and I'm unabashed and I'm unapologetic about it. But further, the primary reason that I wanted another hospital is because I have young children and I have old grandparents. And what the hospital administration has said is that we're going to work towards a geriatric and pediatric emergency room, because the emergency room situation in Utica is less than stellar. So that's a big deal to me. But when I tell people that, how do I prove it?
Right.
So I can't.
What do you say to the people who are against the hospital downtown, and they say you're taking all these properties off the tax roll? What are you going to say to them, and how do you make up for that?
Yeah, I think the making up for it, again, anyone that's against it, I have respect for, because there is no other converse information coming out to tell them why they're wrong, or I'm right, or I'm wrong and they're right. So I don't tell them anything. I just say wait for the information, and if you've felt like you've waited too long and your patience is run thin, so be it. Mine hasn't. My patience is not worn thin. I'm looking forward to the information to show economic development will supersede, you know, the 60,000 to what I hear 100,000 possibly, let's say at the max of taxes coming off. But putting 4,000 people in downtown, I can't imagine how that's going to not generate about $50,000 or $100,000.
And speaking of putting people in downtown, the county executive who was on yesterday, Anthony Piceni, talking about the plan, the entertainment zone that's being created around the Odd and in the Odd, outside the Odd, the potential of the craft beer museum, and then, of course, $50 million invested from the Oneidas to build a small casino there. Where do you stand on that?
Yeah, well, I met with the county executive a few nights ago, myself and a few other people, and he showed us what the vision was. I've always been a strong proponent, I think you know, for districts in the city and an entertainment district down there. But I'll tell you this. When somebody tells me that there's, you know, $50 to $100 million of private investment and possibly hundreds of jobs that are possible to come down there, the first thing I'm willing to do is listen. Yeah. So I'm right now I'm listening. I'm excited. It's a giant proposal. It's a very ambitious proposal. So I'd be a fool to not listen to it, and that's where we are right now. So I guess in a couple days he's going to have a public announcement with more information. So right now I'm just waiting and listening.
All right, and then in the potential that you could possibly run for mayor, why not run for maybe council at large in this upcoming election?
Yeah, I've talked to
give you a little feel for what the.
Well, if anyone thinks I need more exposure, that's.
We don't feel that way. You're here quite often. So.
But no, I'll tell you, and that came up with my friends and the people that I trust, and it's a fair point. See, the thing that I don't want a position if I need to go pander to another section of the city. I just won't take it. I have a good job. I have a great family. My position is that these people in the 4th District have put me in a position to be all over the place and be exposed. And I would be ashamed of myself if I turn my back on them because I think I need exposure in a different part of the city or I need to walk around somewhere else. So for me, we've done this for 6 years together. We're going to finish it out together.
Right. I guess if you think about it, because it would be more of a battle than running for your ward, and if you're going to run for mayor, you might as well save that battle for running for mayor.
Yeah, I suppose politically.
That'll be a crowded field. It sounds like it's going to be a crowded field
for this, like the Derby, a 20-horse race. I mean, come on.
Well, again, that bodes well for what we've done as a city, right? I mean, people want to be involved. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of entertainment going on, so we're looking forward to it. It's good when people are involved in the democratic process. There's nothing wrong with that. Just like me, I've never run it unopposed. I appreciate it. I get to tell people what I've done.
Shoot from the hip. I want you to shoot from the hip. Are you ready?
I appreciate when I shoot from the hip.
I always appreciate it, and I'm going to ask you.
And I do, generally.
I'm going to ask you to shoot from the hip here, because you can't tell me you don't know and have some evidence in your mind that you've concluded and come to a conclusion. Who do you think is really, sincerely behind this expansion of the term limits?
Look, there was talk of
shooting from the hip here.
Well, I'll try. There was talk of a raise a couple of years ago for the mayor's position. Now, you've got the corporation counsel's office and the entire staff of the administration carrying a petition. I'm imagining, I can't tell you I have evidence. I have no idea. I've never even seen this petition. But I would imagine that it's not hard to make that connection that this is coming from one person, and that is the mayor.
Okay.
I can't imagine it come from anywhere else. But again, look, I can't say that for certain. I've never seen this thing. I've not heard from him, so I won't,
All right, I think you waited.
Look, I have no problem saying it. Yeah, no. Look,
you think it's coming from the mayor?
Well, look, again, the evidence points to that be coming from the mayor. I can't prove that, and it's fine if it is.
Yeah.
It's absolutely okay if it is. I'm not in favor of it. I think that the people have spoken.
Would you be happier if it is, if the mayor would come out and say, all right, listen, I think I've done a great job. There was a vote clearly in favor of me in the last election, and I feel I could continue doing the good things to move the city forward. I think we should he come clean?
That's for him to decide.
Yeah.
That's really for him to decide. I mean, I like to be honest. I like to say things. Look, I don't say things that everyone agrees with all the time. I've been vocal about my opinions. I've been vocal about my stances. But that's for them to decide if it is, and if it isn't, then so be it.
Andrew.
I just had one question going back to the hospital thing. I think that they've held a lot of information sessions, and the CEO has actually agreed to meet with certain people with the No Downtown Hospital group and such. What more could you request of them to get more information?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, right? Because my frustration is just like everyone else's, and while I'm a proponent of it until further notice, I always save the right to find out that it's a terrible idea, because right now there's no factual information. And I don't think that the hospital can do much more aside from getting that information as quickly as humanly possible. Now, if they have tried, again, I don't even know that they have. I plan on talking to the hospital administration, inviting them to a council meeting soon. We talked about that at the last time that they were at the Radisson. They have now hired a PR firm, which is good, which is why that they've been at neighborhood meetings and things like that. So
there's been an improvement, there's no doubt.
There's definitely been an improvement. Now
Yeah.
I think it's their turn to really get the information together. And again, maybe they're doing that, but that I haven't heard from.
Have you heard that they've raised they found the path to the money that they have to raise?
I've heard that there's options. I haven't heard that
Yeah.
anything's final. I heard
Right.
that there was a three-prong attack as to the money that they have to raise, some private, some public, and but I haven't heard any real ratios. I haven't heard any real numbers. So those are the things I really want to look forward to, because look, when we go out in the area, there's a lot of people that are either scared because of lack of information, or just don't like it because of lack of information, or love it but still don't have that information. So, you just want to give everybody everything and say, look, here's the real stuff. Now, do you like it or do you dislike it? And then we can really have an open discussion. That's what I'm looking forward to.
I wish I would hear someone say, and this could be for you, to take and just pretend I never said it.
Sure.
But I wish I would hear someone say,
just between you and I,
just
over the
between
air.
us, yeah. I am for the downtown hospital, and here's my plan to move forward. The hospital, the entertainment district, that allows us to now focus on other areas of the city that need our help desperately. And I know it's not your area, and I have to say, there have been great improvements in East Utica. But Bleecker Street could use help, but West Utica is just in desperate need of the city's attention.
I couldn't agree more.
If that puts us in a position where we don't have to worry about Columbia Street in that area. We don't have to worry about the odd district. Let's focus our attention on a blighted area that is in really desperate need of help.
Yeah, and you make a great point. And what I've been saying is basically about that. I'm for the hospital, because you're either working to help it, because nothing's set in stone yet. So you're either working to help it or you're working to hurt it, right? So I'm choosing to work to help it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it succeeds. But you're right. When you develop other parts of the city, so in East Utica, we've had businesses, and we've had we've got paving going, infrastructure repairs. That helps Cornhill, my neighboring district, because it's a microcosm. So you get one to the other, and Cornhill has had a lot of sewer work. When you help a mass like downtown, that would just branch all over the city, and those kind of grand ideas and entertainment and a hospital district and parking, those things would naturally start to bleed into other areas. And
well, we're already seeing over in so West Utica, you have the Brewery District,
right,
which Varick Street, and there you've got the Irish Cultural Center that is making great progress right now. And if you see it,
they got bones.
It's moving.
Yep.
The brewery, or the Boilermaker, is now there. They're doing there's talk about the old SUNY IT complex there, that big building across from the brewery.
Yeah, Tim Reed has the farmers
stuff,
market
the
now.
Farmers market.
So
There's
fresh
stuff.
food in
There's
West Utica for the first time.
There's a base, but if you could really concentrate on the rest of West Utica, it would be beneficial.
I
think.
agree.
So.
I agree. West Utica has been the forgotten zone, and
Yeah.
it really needs some attention. There's no question.
All right, good stuff. Anything you want to add?
No, guys, thanks so much for having
Okay.
me in. I appreciate it.
All right, Joe Marino, running again for council, his final term.
Final term.
Period.
I'll sign a commitment right now.
Okay, final term. We've got a break. Hold tight. Will that ever pass the? How's this going to work? By the way, I've heard it in many different ways. There might be a public referendum.
Right.
It has to be a referendum, and I've heard the council could actually vote on it.
Yeah, well, the way it goes is if the council chooses to do nothing, they could choose to do something. But Judge Garamone sent us a memorandum of the law and how it works. The council could choose to do nothing. They could choose to amend the way that it's written and send it to referendum, or choose to just completely defeat it. Look, again, I think that referendums are valuable tools. I've done one with this paving plan that passed. But the people have already spoken on this, term limit thing. They just did recently, just like with the paving. I mean, do I want that to keep going back to referendum every 10 years?
Yeah.
So
how about this? A referendum on term limits, once and for all. However, the decision and outcome does not affect any current members.
Well, that's the alternative that I was...
So they'd be grandfathered into the term limits.
Yeah, look, if people really choose 12 years as being a term limit for the city of Utica, then it shouldn't benefit any current sitting member of politics inside the city of Utica. It shouldn't, you shouldn't, just like with the raise when they brought that up, which I was completely against, giving a raise. You take a job knowing the position and what it pays. I have, no problem at least discussing raises for parity and, Rome and Utica was what I guess their argument was.
Yeah.
I have no problem discussing it as long as it doesn't benefit any current sitting politician.
All right.
So, look, if 12 years is what the people really want, which I don't believe that they do, I've not
Grandfather the limits in for everybody currently sitting.
No question about it.
Okay.